And there is so much opportunity because we've never seen 15 technologies evolving at the same time the way they are. 5 major innovation platforms: robotics, energy storage, AI, blockchain technology, and multiomic sequencing. We are so privileged to be living in this time. And I think as investors, and we were just talking about it this morning, this is so deflationary, but deflation in a good sense. Yes. You cut prices, you get more of it.
In this recent interview on Farzad Media Inc. with Cathie Wood, we learn about Trump's controversial crypto strategy, the speculative rise of Dogecoin, and Bitcoin's wild volatility combined with its ambitious long-term price outlook. Cathie Wood boldly analyzes Trump's surprising moves in crypto markets, clearly highlights why Dogecoin remains a high-risk gamble despite popularity, and confidently maintains her prediction that Bitcoin could hit $1.5 million by 2030 despite current turbulence. Before we begin this discussion, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this channel. Now let's hear more from Cathie Wood.
But remember, it felt crazy back then,
it did.
too.
You're right.
The big difference, the very big difference is, he would talk to Tip O'Neill, and,
yes.
Who was the Speaker of the House, and did try to cultivate relationships on the other side.
Yes.
We're not seeing that now. And I think it's the fault of both sides.
Yes.
But I wouldn't be surprised. If he does start forging some relationships to get the job done. What I find interesting about the tax rate cuts that he is proposing, very wisely, he started with tips, overtime, and Social Security. Think about those demographics. That's not the wealthy. Right, for the most part. It's not the wealthy. So he starts there. And then there are tariffs, which are the equivalent of sales taxes. Yes. Very regressive if they're passed through onto pricing. Although we've seen countries like China devalue so that they wouldn't be passed on in pricing. And I think if we're reading between the lines to the lines that Kevin Hassett is writing and as he's giving interviews, my sense is there is a tax rate reduction towards a flatter tax. President Trump makes wild statements. He thinks we shouldn't have an income tax. We shouldn't have capital gains taxes. And we're not going to get away with those disappearing. But going back a little bit towards where the country started, where tariffs funded our government. We didn't have an income tax in the early days. And now we have the opposite. Maybe there's a little bit of equilibration there, especially around this reciprocity idea. If you, Canada, are taxing milk or putting a tariff on milk of 250%, our milk can't get into Canada for that reason, we're going to do the same. And I think he's going to bring down a lot of tariffs. Is it coming out of World War II? We had established dominance, and we are a very generous, kind nation. And it just went too far, which is a highly regressive tax on our country. Yes. And I think that President Trump understands that. I think we had bureaucrats. We had no one kind of from a high level saying, wait a minute, that is off kilter. You had sort of incremental adjustments. People who are bureaucrats tend to be incremental in their moves. Right. They don't want to upset the apple cart. They don't want to be blamed for this, that, or the other. No, you need someone basically from a high level saying, what is wrong with this picture? He would be reinforcing this idea. I am protecting the average consumer in the U.S. This is very regressive. I think one of the things he's doing, art of negotiation. I'm sure there are other things that he wants from countries behind the scenes that are part of each one of these deliberations. So there might be wisdom in what seems to be a chaotic situation.
As we just heard Cathie Wood discuss Trump's unpredictable crypto maneuvers, now let's hear her elaborate on Dogecoin's speculative dangers and Bitcoin's dramatic price swings alongside her bold long-term target. Wood firmly warns investors that despite Dogecoin's rapid rise in popularity fueled by meme culture, it could swiftly collapse, catching inexperienced traders off guard. Meanwhile, she confidently backs Bitcoin's volatile yet promising future, advising savvy investors to stay focused on long-term potential rather than short-term noise. Now, let's listen to what Cathie Wood has to say.
Years and years of incrementalism.
Yes.
And you've got both President Trump and Elon Musk saying, wait a minute.
Right.
There's something really wrong here.
Yes.
And, just even the WTO, I mean, and China has flourished because of the WTO. But I think even there, I think while it's been deleterious to the United States, our manufacturing base has been gutted.
Right.
And, at least cut in half as a percent of GDP if you look at manufacturing, whether it's employment or output. But now that all of these new technologies are flourishing, robotics and all kinds of automation, AI, I think we're going to leapfrog the rest of the world as President Trump brings more manufacturing back here. I think our productivity as a nation is going to be much higher and will grow much more rapidly than otherwise would have been the case. So we've been paying. The WTO started about 25 years ago, and now that pendulum went way too far. Now I think the payback is we will get to leapfrog every other nation. They're kind of stuck with their infrastructure.
Right.
We can now, we can leap into the new world, humanoid robots of all kinds, especially given the low rate of unemployment and the demographics. I think it's a good time for this to happen. Huge unlock. If you listen to Vivek Ramaswamy in Ohio, what he's doing, he gave someone a tour through parts of Ohio that, were the industrial parts and how they're rejuvenating. Steve Case and his Revolutions Fund also funding venture capital away from the big cities. Right. I mean, we're certainly trying to do that here in St. Petersburg, the Tampa Bay region. And I think governors are going to start competing. You get Vivek Ramaswamy out there saying, beating the drum. It's going to impact other governors. And we know Governor DeSantis here, huge. He's so focused on bringing startups into Florida and really taking that mantle away from California. He's very competitive, to the point where I think in his budget there are some ideas that we've been working with his team on that may make it through in terms of tax credits for startups who don't need the tax credits, of course, but they can sell them off, which is very common in real estate.
Right.
Now, thinking about the same thing when it comes to innovation. And I think the challenge for investors is to figure out, okay, where is there going to be so much deflation, so much competition, some of it coming out of China? China's trying to pivot into this innovation age to get out of its property meltdown and the deflationary bust that's taking place there. So I think that's the trickiest thing we're trying to understand and navigate.
To watch the full interview, check out the link in the description. Cathie Wood offers sharp insights into Trump's controversial crypto influence, strongly advises investors to approach Dogecoin speculation cautiously, and doubles down on her bold Bitcoin forecast. Now we'd like your perspective. Will Trump's crypto stance create more market chaos or lead to positive change? And do you believe Dogecoin is just a short-lived craze or here to stay? Thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed this discussion, please subscribe, like, and share our video for more engaging content exploring the innovative world of decentralized technologies. SIM-swap fraud is sweeping the globe, and your mobile security is at risk. Switch to Ifani and lock out SIM-swap fraud and get the most elite mobile protection in the world. Ifani guarantees 100% protection from SIM swaps, backed by a $5 million insurance policy. Stay secure with reliable coverage, free international roaming, and unlimited data. Trust Ifani to keep your communications and assets secure. Get military-grade protection, 24/7 concierge service, and a hassle-free upgrade. Click the link below for $150 off. Thanks for watching. Help support this channel and receive exclusive offers from one of our partners located in the description. We'll see you on the next one.